What's going on YouTube? Dollar Comango here. Wanted to bring you guys a review of my sim racing rims today. Both wheels are from Gomez Sim Industries. Really, everybody knows about GSI nowadays. They blew up during the pandemic, from what I know, and since then they've been on a uphill trajectory. With everybody now knows what a Gomez wheel is. You go to like micro centers or you go to online. Everybody raves about these wheels, and there's a lot of positivity behind that. From starting small to going big. So I wanted to talk about my wheels. On my right here, I have my first wheel I bought from them, which is the X29. It's more of a budget-friendly option, but again, it's not really budget because it is the way it's spec'd out right now. It's almost $1,000. It's like 900 something. So, not really budget oriented, but if you do get it with the aluminum plates for the shifters, I got the carbon fiber ones. I think it brings the price down a little bit. And obviously, if you get single paddles, then it'll bring the price down a little bit. Which I'll talk about that in a minute. Here is my Hyper SL. Of course, I went for the screenless version for both wheels because I run a DDU system. One thing I'm not a big fan of is when wheels have screens. I feel like the screens are way too low. So when you're driving, you have to kind of, especially because I have my wheels a little low, so I have to drive looking down, which kind of defeats the purpose I found the screen. With the DDU, it sits a lot more upright, so you see all the information on the screen. So I wanted to do a review, kind of ownership of the rims, if any issues I had, the pros, the cons, build quality, and just overall my Gomez Sim Industries experience. So let's start with the X29. I'm gonna move the Hyper a little bit out of the way, hopefully it doesn't fall. So the X29 rim is the first rim I got, like I mentioned. It is fully spec'd out, so it has both the shifters in the back, the shift up, down, clutches, obviously SIMUCUBE quick release, and then I added the purple rotary knobs on it. One of the things I would point out, I don't know if this is a common issue, but I have noticed that these rotaries do tend to kind of loosen up over time. I had two on the Hyper loosen up on me. I don't know which ones, but I'll be driving and just pull the knob out, and then it never happen in races. Usually in practice sessions, so I could tighten it up. But it does get annoying. I'm not sure why that happens. Maybe just use overall. I had a moment where I haven't used the rim for quite some time, and one day it came up to and pulled one of the rotaries out, which isn't I wouldn't say it's a GSI issue. It's just probably the tolerances, or maybe they weren't tightened up all the way. But I have retightened them. Gomez actually mentioned not to over tighten them because you can bottom them out and destroy the rotary knob, I guess the pogo pin inside or whatever. You can't go too tight with these because I've seen on their website that if you do over tighten, you can destroy I think either the knob itself or the actual unit that's inside that the hub goes over, the pogo pin or whatever you would call it. So that's the only thing I have kind of dealt with an issue now, is on this wheel. I had two of them kind of loosen up on me over time. Ever since I put these on, none of them have come loose, so maybe it is a tightening thing from the factory, which again, happens. These things are just with a set screw. It happens. Not a big deal. You just retighten them. I have spares of these because I replaced these, so just in case if I ever do lose one, I have spares. Another issue I had was when I first bought this wheel, I was on a Fanatec setup, and I think that was the worst decision, was going with the Fanatec setup. But when I got this wheel, it had a massive EMI issues, and that's one of the other things that I see people talk about online, is that the GSI wheels are prone to EMI. I had a buddy that had the CSX rim, I think it was. One of the rims from, I forgot the brand, I blanked on that, but the CRX or whatever, and he was on a DD1 as well. He had no issues with his. I guess it could be the fact that they use magnetic for the the shifters and the clutches, so the magnetic, obviously magnets will interfere with EMI. Maybe the CSX is a hollow sensor or whatever. But ever since I switched to SIMUCUBE, I have had no issues, besides the power issues, but I'll get into the topic of that later. So the X29, really had no issues with it. My opinion, great wheel, great GT racing wheel. This is the main use for this wheel, so I kind of have them categorized. This wheel I mostly use for like GT3 racing, because you know in GT3 racing you don't really need too much buttons. So everything on this is used up, you know, traction control, all that stuff. Great wheel if you do like GT3 racing. The size is great. You know, it's not too small. Like the Formula wheel that I had from Fanatec was a bit too small in my opinion. This is just right. And again, I use it for the GT3 racing mainly. So that's that. Moving on to the Hyper. This is my prototype main wheel. Just because it has so much more configurations. You have thumb encoders. You have two extra rotary knobs. 3 of these funky switches. So a lot of customization you can do. There is a lot more buttons. So there's 12. You got 6 on one side, 6 on this side. Versus here, it's 10, so you get 2 extra buttons with this wheel. Button-wise, I feel like you could probably not go as crazy. I feel like maybe if there was 2 buttons less, it would be fine. A lot of the time in games, like I use all of these and a little bit of these, and then everything else is kind of unused. So there is a lot of features in this wheel. Obviously, for like GTP racing, you know, GTPs use a lot of settings, traction control, ABS, all that. And then like F1 racing uses a lot of stuff. So this is why this wheel I dedicated to like a prototype open wheel race, and this one is more towards GT3 racing. As mentioned with the rotary knobs, besides that, I had no issues. Again, this one is the Suzuki edition. So it has Dan Suzuki's like layout, purple everywhere, purple writing, Hyper SL, Gomez. I was gonna go with the custom layout, but then I saw Dan's on their website. I saw his version, and I was like, that's exactly how I would spec mine out. Probably gonna replace these with purple soon. I don't know how that will look. Maybe I'll bring some of these over and see how that will look. But yeah, I like the purple on this. So this is the same way I would spec mine. So I was like, might as well go for the Dan Suzuki edition. This one, that way I have it spec'd out, is also the 4 paddle configuration. The cool thing about this rim and this rim is if you do go for like a configuration, if you get like 2 paddles or 1 paddle, 2 paddles or 4, you can, there's an option to add a 6th on this one. That's the cool thing I find about these wheels, is that some wheels you would get locked into, you know, if you have 4, you know, you only can have 4, you can't upgrade. One of the things that is cool is that there is a slot here that you can buy another pair of, I think it's clutches or whatever. So you could add 6 paddles to this one. The reason why I didn't do that is because I don't know what I would use the top paddles for. My guess is the reason that's done is you could in theory use them for gas and brake if you can't use your legs. Or you could have it for like DRS or something. I don't know what you would use it for. I obviously didn't go for that option because, like I said, I don't use it. I wouldn't use it. I might add it in because you can. The only thing that does require you to do is disassemble the whole wheel. I don't know how comfortable I feel about that. But you can send the wheel out to Gomez. They will install it for you and then ship it back, which is a cool option. Besides that, yeah, main differences between the wheels, as we can see, this one has 4 rotary thumb encoders. This one does not. Again, this one's more budget friendly, but again, the way I have it spec'd out, I don't know if I mentioned, it's around that $1,000 mark. This one is, I think, $1,400-1,500. So this one has the 4 thumb encoders, 2 extra rotary knobs, an additional funky switch. And the rotaries, they light up all around, and you can have the customizability, so you can change all these stickers and place them however you want. On the X29, like I said before, it only has 10 in total buttons, 3 encoders, like knob encoders, 2 funky switches, and that is it. No rotaries, no thumb encoders, which it would be nice if they brought them at least here, so you could have some. But again, it's more tailored towards a budget-friendly market. So obviously, you start adding those things, it'll probably come up to the price of this. So yeah, obviously with this one, it's laser engraved, so you really can't switch any of these labels out. I wish that they changed this. I wish they I've seen people in Gomez's Discord, which be sure to check that out. Really cool Discord they have set up. Really great support. You can talk to Gomez himself. I'm not sponsored to say that. I wish I was, but I've seen people like just get custom cutouts and make their own labels. I'm fine with the way this is kind of layered out. You know, you got your flash, mic mute, pit, and all the other buttons down. I'm fine with the way this is configured. I'm kind of used to it already. I had this wheel for 2 years. This was one of my first ones, like I said. This wheel has reached 2 years already last October, and this wheel is just broken the 1 year mark. So both have been great. Like I said, both are on the high-end market. Obviously, if you're on a budget, then yeah, there's no way for. So there's a lot of cuts because I'm doing this raw first take. So be mindful if you see me move my hands and then different positions later, because I am cutting some of the footage. This one is more, I think I mentioned it, more budget, but again, that $900,000 mark, depending on how you spec it out. This one is more towards the $1,300, $1,500, $1,600 mark if you really fully spec it out. If you go the custom route, I think it adds another $100, $200 on top of the MSRP of it. Let's talk about the grips. So the grips both feel exactly the same. Both are mold silicone injected, so they have some squish to them. But when you're driving, when I drive, I tend to have a real hard def grip on my wheels. I got no clue why. I don't know where that came from, but I have a def grip when I race with these wheels. So for like an hour race here and there, not a big deal. With this wheel, I have done a 24 hours of Le Mans, which was good. I never lost comfortability with it. Never had any issues with it. When I did the Le Mans 24 with this one a few years back now, I think when I was like the first year of ownership, it was within that ballpark when I did it. When I did the 24 hours, it was good. The grips, fine. You know, I wear gloves as well, GSI gloves as well, so I had no issues with that. No, like, this wheel for being 2 years old, I mean, it looks brand new. Looks like the day it came out of the box. There is no tears, there's no tearing, no scratches anywhere. Obviously a little dusty because this sits on my rig mounted to it. No scratches. Nothing's falling apart. Just a great construction overall, great quality. I'll talk about that. This wheel, again, like I said, only being a year old. No dings, no scratches. Grips are holding up. The cable has been fine. Nothing has come loose except for that. And the clutches, everything, shifters, everything's great. None of these are loosened up over time as well. So one of the only things I had witnessed with these wheels, the only like slight issue I had is, I guess I did talk to Gomez about it. I had a ticket open. I don't think it's not a Gomez issue, because I know others haven't had this issue, but I have recently fixed the issue. And the issue is power. So I thought going screenless would save me from this, I guess, debacle that they have. Not a debacle, whatever. I don't want to say a plague that plagues these wheels, but it's something that a lot of people in their Discord do sometimes complain about. And both of these actually have power issues. And what I mean about the power issues is they are power hungry. That's why Gomez recommends a powered hub. That's why on the website, if you try plugging this in, before I say anything else, directly into your motherboard, it will not work. I tried it before. I was trying to customize the LEDs, and the thing just went sporadic. It just went crazy because there's not enough power that can pull through the motherboard to power this. That's why you need a powered hub just to power one of these. And I went through about 3 or 4 different power hubs for this wheel, for both of these actually, because they both have the similar like, I don't see issues, but they're both similar in that both spec of power. So I went through about 4 different hubs before I pulled the trigger on one of the hubs that Gomez himself recommends. I went through all the ones that Amazon offers, you know, powered ones. I had, you know, cables that are powered even, that still run. Just different brands of USB hubs. And the one that Gomez on their Discord recommends, I think it's Cool Gear, a USB powered one. That's the one that finally has fixed the issue of power on both of these wheels. The one thing I have noticed though, and I'm probably gonna notice this today because I unplugged both of these, is when you unplug it from the hub itself, and I guess the wheel drains all the power from it, you know, there's no power going through it. That's when I noticed the issue happens. When you unplug a wheel, I guess, whatever, I'm not an electric engineer, I guess whatever electronics they have, capacitors or whatever they need to charge up, when they lose that energy, that's when I noticed these have that power issue. If I leave the wheel plugged in for a day or 2 under power, it kind of, I guess, recharges those caps. I don't know. And again, not an electrical engineer. But I could drive forever then. Don't have an issue. If I unplug it and then try to plug it back in and have a race, that's when the issue kind of insists. Gomez mentioned and the support team mentioned that it's an AMD issue because I have an AMD rig. And I guess the USB hub, the USB bus on AMD systems isn't, I guess, as strong to be able to handle so much USB plugs. And obviously with sim rigs, pedals, you know, your bass, your actuators, your wheels, you have so much USB power being just drawn from your rig that these wheels tend to I guess be on the back foot and lose connections. Didn't happen to me during a race when I lost connection issues. It always seems to happen during practice, but that's again when I plug the wheel back in. So I will leave the link in the description for that hub I got. It has seemed to fix the issue, but I'm always the type of person that always tries different options. So I have tried, like I said, 4 different USB hubs, and I also tried that I still run a active USB cable. So it's effectively a powered USB cable that has a little controller in it that you plug in, and it strengthens the signal throughout the cable. My rig is kind of too far from my PC to have the power hub cable go to the motherboard, so I have to run an active USB cable, and that seemed to have worked on the other hubs, but this new USB hub I got, I think, has finally fixed the issue. So I wanted to just talk about that for a little bit because that's one of the things I have noticed. But again, I got the hub 2 weeks ago, and since then I have not had a disconnection. So fingers crossed that was the main issue. So yeah, another thing I wanted to talk about that I forgot is the buttons on the wheels. You know, high quality, real nice, satisfying clicks on both wheels. They're both similar buttons. They are actually I think from what I know, the stickers underneath the button, so these in theory will never wear out. These might, but again, you don't touch them there, so that's fine. So yeah, the last thing I wanted to talk about is my recommendation. You know, if somebody's in the market looking for a sim racing wheel, would I recommend these? You know, I'm not told by Gomez to say anything. I'm not sponsored by Gomez. I have no affiliation with them except that I own their products. And my thing is, if you have the money, go for it. I would say if you're more towards the budget orientated, get the X29. It will still do you good. I use the X29 for GT3 racing, just because it doesn't have, you know, GT3 cars don't need too much configuration. The Hyper I use as a prototype / open wheel car. setup, just because it has more customizations, more features that utilizes all of the hyper and prototype and formula cars. Has all those buttons for you to utilize. That's kind of how I categorize these. This is more, in my opinion, of a GT3 racing wheel, because you can still like traction control, ABS, your brake bias, and then get all the things mapped and you're set to go. On the prototype, it may be a little bit harder. You have to change your traction 2, traction 1. So you would have them here, and then your brake bias, and now you're out of rotaries to change your anti-roll bars or whatever else, or your deployment. Which on the deployment I use a thumb encoder. So that's why I kind of categorize this one as a GT3, maybe LMP2, LMP3. This will be like a good option as well, since those don't really have the hybrid system. You don't really need too much to drive those. But again, this one will be more categorized, in my opinion, towards the prototype. That's how I have them categorized. Of course, I do use them for both. If I have this wheel on, I will do GT3 racing with it. It's just kind of, in my opinion, too overpowered for a GT3 setup. Again, my own personal opinion with that, just because it has so much going on. I am currently looking at their Max 32 wheel as well, the oval wheel. So I'll probably be getting that within the next month or two. Kind of need a round wheel, because I only have these formula style wheels. And I did see Gomez post on his Discord that they had a forged carbon fiber for the Max 32. I guess they were doing some testing, so I'll probably getting that, because that looks pretty nice. The whole rim is kind of forged carbon fiber, which looks phenomenal. But yeah, both of these wheels are great. If you're in the market for them, I would say go for it. Like I said again, if you're on the budget side, go for the X29. It's still a great wheel. Still a lot of people praise this wheel for just the looks of it. You can post a picture of this wheel anywhere and people know it's a Gomez wheel. Like I said, if you have the additional, I think it's $400 or $500, then the Hyper SL would be my second choice. Obviously, I've never tried a wheel with the built-in screen, so maybe I'm just talking out my rear here, and maybe it is better. But I do like having a DDU that sits a little high up. Kind of makes you feel enclosed, like you're in a cockpit, because the DDU kind of looks like the racing DDUs or whatever that they use in real cars. So yeah, that is my kind of overview. Like I said, this wheel is 2 years old now, and I probably will keep it forever. If I ever have nephews or nieces or whatever, I'll be like, hey, look what we had back in the day. And then this one, like I said, it's a year old. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I wanted to do, like I said, this review for quite some time. I wanted to do the review when this wheel hit a couple months, but then I was like, let me wait, let me use it a bit more. And I am already happy with both these wheels. I had friends and family use both of these, and I don't think any of them had a negative thing to say about them. So probably gonna start doing a little bit of a sim overview video here soon of my rig. Kind of wanted to do a little bit of sim racing topics, as that's kind of what I'm into. So I wanted to start with the wheels and then move on to like my cockpit and all that. So be on the lookout for one of those videos soon. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.